Welcome to the Invisible Marketer Podcast. I'm your host, Coena. In today's episode, I sat down with Eric Howell. He's been a podcast producer for over 10 years and has even went on to launch his own podcast. In this episode, it's all about imposter syndrome, his journey, and why podcasting is the perfect solution if you are an introvert. If you would like today's show notes, head on over to community.invisiblemarketer.com. Let's dive on in.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here. I have been an introvert my entire life, and I've been a producer for about 10 years. I'm used to sitting alone in a dark room with my computer screen, just editing podcasts. And I decided to actually start putting myself out there and get behind the mic instead of just behind the computer screen. I've really enjoyed it. It's been a little bit scary, but it's been worth it. Like, it's helped me a lot as far as coming out of my shell.
Do you think that it is a good avenue as far as for introverts?
I think it's great. I think it's a great way to ease into socializing because it's a one-on-one interaction usually. It's not as scary as a big public speaking event or trying to talk in a crowd. You can practice. It's basically just having a conversation with someone. Something else that I like about it for introverts is most introverts don't really like small talk, and podcast allows for deep conversations. It's better for an introvert to start with a podcast versus another avenue. I think it's perfect for introverts.
It's great that you said that because through my reflection and really getting to know introverts and myself over the last couple of months, one of the things that I learned is that we are really deep thinkers. Mm-hmm. It's one of our qualities and it's one of our superpowers, I guess you could say. When you get on a podcast, you really get to know the people that you're with. Plus, it's that one-on-one interaction. And introverts love to have that one-on-one where you're getting to know people.
Yeah. Something else I really like about podcasts too is if you have your own podcast, there's a little bit of control there. If I'm saying something and I'm listening back to it and I'm cringing at myself because I'm an introvert, I think we all do that. We all cringe at ourselves when we hear our own voice. I can cut that out. I can control what I actually release to the world. That's another reason. I'm the one behind the computer screen here also, so I can control what's coming out to the world.
You don't know how many times I've done that.
Yeah. The guests, they may cringe at themselves, but I'll leave that because it doesn't bother me, but I'll cut my own stuff out. A lot of times I'll have like nervous laughter and I'll cut out my own nervous laughter. That's just great being able to control that yourself. Guessing's a whole nother thing. You just have to roll with the punches with that.
Exactly. I've done interviews before. I'm like, oh gosh, I did terrible, dreaded going back and seeing the edited version of that. There's no way anybody can turn that one around.
I almost asked, hey, can I edit this myself? But nah, I'm going to trust you. I also have a podcast. It's called A Look into Leadership. I interview other school community owners. Something I tell them is, listen, you have the final edit over this. I'm going to send this to you. If there's anything in this that you're uncomfortable with, I have no problem with going back and cutting it out. Ultimately, when you have a podcast, you want to make your guests feel comfortable. It's about them. They are the hero in the story. You want to make them look as good as possible. I'll say, listen, I'll just cut out whatever you want me to cut out. They're usually okay with that. We were doing 2 episodes a week. When you have podcasts, you want to be able to prove that you're the expert and speak about things that you know of, but also it's good to interview other people. On Mondays, I do Masterclass Mondays, and then on Thursdays, we interview a school community owner just to highlight them. That's another way that podcasting is so great for a business owner or even an introvert business owner. It allows you to network with people, and I've been able to meet people that I would have never gotten a chance to meet otherwise. Some of the people that we've been interviewing on TikTok have like hundreds of thousands of followers. They wouldn't talk to me. They wouldn't even bat an eye at me. But the fact that I say, hey, come on my show, I will give you a platform that you can promote whatever it is you want to promote, your book, your community, whatever. And it gives them a platform to come. And so you're offering something to them also. And so it's a great way to network. I've heard people say it's like podcasting is like networking on steroids. And it's so true.
You hear people talking about how they launched their product and they're like, oh, I went on a bunch of podcasts. I went and did a lot of interviews with other people. There's this sense of credibility you have when you have a podcast. And when you go on other people's podcasts, you build this credibility. I feel like more so than you do if you were posting on social media every day for 30 days. I feel like the amount of credibility that you build within that short period of time is huge compared to that.
Yeah. If you don't like being on camera, if you don't like setting up your camera every single day to make TikTok videos, Instagram videos, you can record a 1-hour podcast. You can take 7 to 10 clips from that 1 hour, that could be your social media content for the rest of the week. So now, as an introvert, I feel uncomfortable being on camera. I can just do it the one time, and that's my content for the rest of the week. I don't have to continually get nervous and jump in front of a camera every day because I've already done it over the weekend, and now I got my content for the rest of the week. So that's another great reason for an introvert to start a podcast.
And how many hours does that save you a week?
Oh my gosh, multiple hours a week.
Yeah. When I started this last podcast, I'm like, wow, I can breathe. I'm not stressed out every day trying to figure out what to say. I can create my content on Sunday. I have it scheduled for the week. I just spend a couple of minutes on Facebook every day. YouTube is scheduled and it gets me the most views anyway.
It's more natural because you're having a conversation with someone. I don't know about you, but I tend to mask when I get on camera and I'm trying to record a social media video. My wife, she won't even watch my TikTok. She can tell that I'm not truly being myself. A lot of my videos, you can tell that I'm masking and I'm putting on. When I'm having a podcast conversation, I'm a little more relaxed just because it's an actual conversation, like a back and forth. I don't have a script in front of me or anything. That's another reason why I like it.
When I do my videos on social media, I have to memorize it or otherwise I'm going to freeze like a deer in headlights. I'm stumbling my words. I have to almost script it and memorize it when I'm doing a video for social media. This completely took all that out of the way. Don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, it'll take me sometimes 30 minutes to do a 30-second TikTok video. The way you teach your people imperfect action, right? We can just get on here and talk, and it doesn't have to be perfect because it's real, it's raw. They want to see the real you, not the fake scripted version that we put on sometimes.
Yeah, so true. I get more views on my videos when I'm just like, okay, guys, this is what happened. I went live for 30 minutes, no sound whatsoever. Try this again tomorrow. The more real you are and the more that people see you, they know that you're not some AI bot.
Give it a couple years, it's going to be indistinguishable. It's a little bit scary. So get in now. You need to start now.
Even with the voice, though, I guess they could replicate that.
They have that technology now.
Yeah.
You can replicate your voice, but it still doesn't have that soul. It doesn't have quite that human element yet. I'm afraid it's not going to be long. It's going to affect, unfortunately, every aspect of our life. There's a part of me that's a little bit excited, but there's also a part of me that's terrified.
I do use AI, so I'm supportive of some aspects of it. For me, I want to be me in my business, not have someone get on video and be a clone of me. I would love to hear about maybe some moments, because I know introverts, we usually have some really great stories to tell for sure.
Right. I was always the kid who my mom would take me to the park. I would see all the other children, and instead of going to play with them, I would just hide behind her leg. For whatever reason, I've just had a lot of fear within me. It's probably because we moved around a lot. I didn't really have a lot of roots. We were actually homeless a few times. I've lived in all kinds of crazy places, gas stations, barbershops. At one point, I was living in a zoo and I almost got eaten by a tiger. We were living in a zoo. It was a little weird, but it was also really fun because I would get to interact with all the different animals. I would go into the zoo by myself at night just to talk to them or whatever. They had a tiger there he was locked up in a cage. You can't really blame the guy for being ornery. I got too close to him and he pounced up at me and the cage broke. I just took off running. He didn't get out, so I was actually safe. But he did the same thing a couple more times to guests at the zoo. Then he attacked the zoo owner. Finally, they had to put the tiger down. It actually made the news and everything. I don't think you're supposed to just put down tigers. Not only did they put the tiger down, but they stuffed it and they put it in their living room. It was pretty horrible. I think, honestly, I probably just have a lot of trauma. And I think that's what led to a lot of my introvertness. What made it even worse was when COVID happened, because I just became even more of a recluse. I couldn't even go through a drive-through. I was too afraid to order a Big Mac at a McDonald's because I was going to have to talk to somebody. That's how bad it was. I could not go anywhere without being a mess. I would have panic attacks leaving my house. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing this now. I was absolutely terrified. And if it was not for my coach, who is also my co-host on my show, she really pushed me. Like, I wanted to give up so many times. At one point, it was almost daily of her having to drag me from the depths of me wanting to quit. So just getting somebody that will really help you is absolutely crucial. And now I'm thinking where I'm at now, I can go through a drive-through. I can go to Walmart or whatever without being totally afraid. I still get nervous and worked up a little bit, but I'm not having a full meltdown anymore. I think really doing the podcast has helped, just being able to interact with humans again. There was so long where I wasn't, especially after COVID happened. I was just terrified, and I'm not anymore. I think just having someone there to help me get through that and then starting the podcast are the main two reasons why I'm finally coming out of my shell. I'll be grateful forever for that.
Yeah. Oh my. That's just an amazing story. I've been homeless several times in my life. I don't know if that might have been related to why I'm such an introvert.
I think it definitely does. Homelessness or being unhoused. I think there is some trauma that comes along belong to that. You're almost treated like a second class citizen from the rest of the public. It's really hard. When I was homeless, I was a kid. It wasn't really my fault. There's nothing I could have did about it. Not only was I like homeless, but I was also bullied constantly for that. I was bullied for being poor. I was bullied for being overweight, just beat up on the daily. There's just a lot of trauma that comes with that stuff. I'm working through it. I'm doing my best. And that's all we can do is just do our best and try.
I'm honestly happy for you that you have done that. That's hard, and not many people have done that. I'm glad that you shared that story.
It wasn't easy. I'll tell you that. Working through your trauma is the most difficult thing that you can probably do, but it's necessary. Especially for me, I'm a dad. I have 2 kids. I wanted to work through that for myself so that way I can be better for them. I wanted to give them a life that I did not have. And in order to do that, I had to fix myself. I'm not there yet, but I am getting there. I want them to have a better childhood than I did. And the other thing that's helped me also, I have been working through it, focusing on myself, but I've also really been trying to focus on other people. And I found that helping other people with their problems has helped me come out of it as well, because I'm not focusing so much on myself. I'm helping other people work through theirs. It's an indescribable feeling when somebody has a problem and you're able to talk to them and work them through their problem. It just makes you feel so good. That's also been a huge driver for me getting over my introvertness and having conversations with people. I never go into a conversation thinking I'm going to sell somebody something. I never go into a conversation thinking I want them to buy something from me. I don't want to be a car salesman. The only thought is I want to help this person. They pay me or not, I want to help them. Obviously, I want to keep the lights on. I get so much satisfaction out of just seeing somebody have an aha moment. It's priceless.
For me, I love to have an impact. The thought of being able to help someone overcome and get their voice out there like you have. And I truly believe that podcasting can change your life in that aspect, because it does help you have an outlet for you to share your voice, work through those feelings, meet new people, and have an impact. So I think there's a lot of great opportunities for you to start building your confidence and really feel that you're having an impact, like you were saying.
If I never have a single listener on my podcast, at this point, I don't care, just because it has already done so much for my confidence. Truly believe that every single person has something to share. You have something important to say. I was talking to a lady the other day. She wants to help empower women. She was also going back and forth of whether she actually wanted to start the podcast. I told her, there's all these women that do not have a platform. Be that platform. Use your voice to give them a voice. There's so many reasons why I would tell you to start a podcast. This was another thing that was really difficult with me. Coming from being homeless, I have a weird relationship with money. It's hard to ask for money when you've never had it. I'm sure a lot of people that are listening can relate to that. I had to get over a lot of mindsets. Having a coach really helped me break through that. She pushed me to ask for money. I wasn't going to. She said, you need to think about your kids. You need to give them the life that you never had. In order to do that, you're going to have to ask for money. But yeah, I do pocket coaching where I do several videos a week just on the higher level ideas of podcasting. So like the marketing and how to grow your show. And so I do that. I do about 3 or 4 videos of that a week that I give to my people. And then I do group coaching where we meet a few times a month. I give each of them a few one-on-ones, however many they need. I just want to give myself to them. My coach says I overgive. That's just who I am. I can't help it. I just want to give my everything to these people. And so I do that. And then I'm also working on a podcast 101 that is just going to take you from, if you're a complete beginner, to being able to have something out in the world. And so that's basically what I offer. It took me a long time to work up the courage to ask for money, because it's hard to do that sometimes for some of us.
I'm launching the podcast Launchpad. It's just $7 a month. There's a ton of value inside of there. Even asking that $7 a month has been extremely hard for me.
Something that helped me that she said is, okay, let's say my sink breaks and I have a plumber show up to fix it. He's not going to do that for free. Like, his time is worth something. I think that's the thing I was having trouble overcoming, was I felt like I was not worth it. I felt like my time was not valuable because I didn't see myself as valuable. I had to start valuing myself as a human and saying, yes, my time is valuable. That's a whole nother can of worms you got to work through, is dealing with money, but also dealing with just your self-image, your self-worth. I think that is the mindset that you need to overcome. Any type of coaching. I don't care if you're doing podcast coaching, mindset coaching, teaching somebody how to be a plumber. It's all the same thing. You need to help somebody with their mindset, and you need to fix some of those messed up ideas that they have in their head about themselves. If you can fix your self-worth, you can pretty much do anything. I don't care what it is.
Yeah. You can learn the skill so easy. Mm-hmm. It's just getting through your mind of what it needs to be.
Any course that anybody's selling, you can find that information on YouTube. That's not what you're buying into when you buy a course. You're buying in it for the community, for the support, for the accountability. That's the reason why you would want to buy into a community like yours. You can find any information anywhere. That's the other reason why, if you want to start a community, you don't necessarily have to be an expert. You can bring in other people to teach that stuff, or you can point them to where they can. But what they really want is accountability. That's what people need. They need somebody to tell them that they're worth it and that they can do it.
Are you enjoying today's episode and feeling inspired by the stories and the strategies that you are hearing? I would like to personally invite you to be a part of a community that is filled with people from all walks of life. Inside of there, you will discover a welcoming space filled with fellow introverts and entrepreneurs who share their knowledge, exchange ideas, and support each other's growth. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or you're new to this journey, our community is here to empower you every step of the way. You can gain access to exclusive training, insightful discussions, and valuable networking opportunities by joining our community today. Let's collaborate, learn, and grow together. Head on over to community.invisiblemarketer.com and become part of our amazing family.
Sometimes people just need permission. I just needed permission from my coach. I knew how to do everything I'm doing, but the fact that she said, do it, I did it. I just needed permission. And that's what you can do too with your community. Just give your people permission to do it. So that way they can give themselves permission to do it.
Last week, I stumbled across your lives where you're editing.
Yeah.
You're editing your podcast and you're a pro at it. I was like, man, I wish I could be like him. You have that stuff knocked out in no time. It's awesome that for your free community that you're going live and doing those working hours. That's a really great concept. I think that for people, editing can be a pain, but the way that you show them and you can do your working hours and it really helps to learn how to edit.
I wanted to make sure that even my free community had some kind of value to it. About 3 times a week, I'll just go live for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. I'll just edit whatever I'm working on because I'm working anyways. I might as well set up a camera and kind of show people what I'm doing. I love that I can do that and give that to people. I'm also going to be doing guest interviews as well. And I'm going to do some paid, some free. I want it to feel like it's worth their money. But every now and then I'm going to be doing some free ones. I have a free one coming up at the end of the month. Everybody has something valuable to give. As far as saying I'm an expert or whatever, I've been doing it a long time. I've been producing podcasts for 10 years. I could do it with my eyes closed at this point. I haven't always been that way. At one point, I think I was maybe 4 or 5 years. So I've already been doing it a while. I still haven't overcome that self-worth part of me. I didn't feel like I could do something great. I had the opportunity to work with the biggest client I've ever had. He was a president of this huge tech company, probably a billionaire, to be honest. Through networking, through another podcast that I worked on, I met him. He hired me and we started lining up all these guests, huge guests. People that I felt like I did not deserve to be in the same room with. It was like the CEO of Pepsi. It was the ex-CEO of Apple. The first one we had lined up with was with Mark Cuban from Shark Tank. And you know what I did? I was too scared. I quit. I felt like me as a homeless kid, I cannot be in the same room with billionaires. I had too much imposter syndrome. Even though I was 5 years into it, I knew that I could do that job. There was that part of me that said, no, you're still a homeless kid. You can't be in the same room with Mark Cuban. And so I gave up on myself. Now that I've worked through some of these problems in my mind, I would never do that again. I would never give up on myself. I wasn't an imposter because I've been doing it, but there was still that part of me that told me I couldn't. And I gave in to those lies.
Ooh. That one. Imposter syndrome is huge for me too. I still struggle with it every single day. Every day I work through it. It's hard to work through it, especially with the things of the past that keep getting brought up. I do know that one day you're going to have that amazing opportunity again to be able to have even better than what you had back. Just watching those working hours, I can really tell you're so good at it.
It's hard. My life could look a lot different now if I would have just went with that. That's just not how life turned out. And I'm happy where I'm at now. I'm slowly building back up to that point.
Yeah.
Things are going to be okay.
I feel like there's going to be more doors opened for you. I have posted on social media every single day since January 1st. And I got to think about, well, what helped me to take that action? What helped me to start the podcast? What helped me to start the YouTube channel? And I went through my feelings. I like a challenge. If for some reason, challenges just make me do it. I don't know what it is about challenges, but if you say, I challenge you to go post this, it may take me a month to post it. I'm going to do it until I get that challenge completed. So I am always up for a challenge. It always helps me to challenge myself to get stuff done. That's one of the methods that has worked for me.
That's a great method. Yeah, I might have to take that one.
You should do it. I do a lot of those 5-day challenges because for one, they have you introduce yourself on camera the first day. It's helping me improve my confidence and being an introvert. I just go in there and say, look, I'm a big introvert and I'm doing this because I'm, pushing myself outside my comfort zone. And guess what happens? people in the community, they start posting their video because you're inspiring people by doing that intro video. The other thing is being authentic helps attract people to you. I've really met a lot of people in these challenges because I went and I did that intro video at the beginning, letting them know that this is me. People start reaching out and you network with people, and you never know who you're going to meet that might be another connection to someone. So it's really awesome.
Yeah. Connection is the number one tool in business. Meeting people. I think it's so important that you have this podcast and that you have your community. I think that is one of the biggest issues that people have. I think there's a lot more introverts out there than people realize. Yeah. And there's not a place really for introverts to have their voice heard and to grow and learn. It's very much an extrovert world. So I think it's so important that what you're doing. It's great. I love it.
You're doing it too. Just keep sharing your story, that story right there, and what you went through and overcame. It really will have a big impact on people that hear that story, because that's amazing.
I think this is the first time I've actually ever told that story.
I hope you share it more. I know that it's hard to get that place where you tell your story. If you're interviewing, you're not really talking about yourself as much. Definitely share that when you go out and do the guest podcasting. That right there needs to be told to give people hope, to give people inspiration. I feel like it can have a big impact. With my podcast Launchpad, I've invited you to be a part of being one of our experts inside there. I know I'm not going to take a lot of your time up or anything like that. I'm happy that you're going to be in the community and maybe share your expertise sometimes and help out.
I'm really excited about this community that you're building. I'll be in there. If there's a specific question about production stuff, editing, I'm your guy. And I'll be in there a lot, answering questions, helping out when I can. The more podcast communities on school, the better. There's not very many. There's only like 3 or 4. I'm one of them, and then you're going to be another one. I think the medium of podcasting, the bigger it can grow, the better. Yeah, I'm happy for it. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, for sure. I am too. I think through this interview, they're able to get to know really who you are and your story and how great you are.
Yeah, my school community is called Podific, and you can just look up Podific on Google. That's one thing I really like about school. If you type in podcast pocket coaching on Google, mine's the first thing that pops up. It's crazy, the SEO that school has. So yeah, it's called Podific. I think I might be the top podcast school. I'm not it's sure yet. I have to look. I think there might be one more that's ahead of me. My username on school is @podcasts. I somehow managed to get that. I don't know how. If you go to school.com/@podcast, I'll pop up.
Wow. That's huge. You got in early. I just secured mine, which is Podcast Launchpad.
We are so early to school. I don't think people have any idea. It feels like the early days of Facebook. It feels like the early days of TikTok. There's something special happening here. The fact that we are here at the beginning, we're like the pioneers. Our lives, I think, are going to look totally different in a year or two. I really do.
I've missed so many opportunities over the years. At one point, I was in a room with Grant Cardone and 8 people on Clubhouse. He was talking to everybody, just chilling, not even business wise, talking about life and whatever, and some curse words. But I was in the room and had the chance to get on stage with him. On Clubhouse stage, I guess you could say. And I was too shy.
Sounds like my Mark Cuban story. We had this big almost moment and we didn't quite go for it. We have another moment here. Like yesterday, Alex Hormozy did his Q&A call where you can jump on Zoom with Alex Hormozy, and that's on school that they do for free every week. What is that magic school bus thing that she says? Take chances, make mistakes. This is your opportunity. Stick with it. Do not give up. I've started TikToks and YouTubes fairly early and see an instant result. I am sticking with school. I don't care if it takes me a couple years. I'm going to stick with this because I think this is our moment. For everybody listening too, this is your moment also. Grab it.
It's our time now. We got to do this. Thank you, Eric. It's honestly been a pleasure. I just really appreciate you coming and sharing your knowledge, your story, and tips and advice for introverts. Is there any final thoughts that you would have for the audience?
Speaking of imposter syndrome earlier, there's so many people that have imposter syndrome and they haven't even gotten started yet. So at that point, you've not even pretended to be someone else yet. But you're not an imposter. So just get started. Imposter is somebody that pretends to be someone else. You haven't done that. You haven't pretended to be anyone else. Get started and be yourself. You don't have to be an expert. Talk to other people. Get other experts. Curate other people. People, they want connection. They want raw. They want real. That's who we are, is introverts. We can be real. We can be raw. It's scary. It's hard. It's tough, but we can do it. I did it. I'm not there yet, but I'm doing it. You can too.
Thank you for listening to the Invisible Marketing Marketer podcast. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Eric and have been inspired by the stories and the journey that he shared. If you would like to access today's show notes, head on over to community.invisiblemarketer.com. As always, keep tuning in to discover even more strategies that are tailored to using your superpower of being an introvert to go out and make an impact. I will see you next time.